Alright, a little bit more terminology for you. We'll review just a little bit, and we'll add some new stuff. Again, that is an egg sinker, about a 1/2 ounce. And then this is a bullet sinker. They're kind of interchangeable for me, but some people are very particular about their weights, but I don't care. Egg sinker, bullet sinker, both. I think this one is a 1/2 ounce as well. They're just different shapes. They do different, sometimes they do different things. But then we also have a couple other ones that I use every so often. We have what this one is called a split shot, and they're little bitty tiny ones with a little alligator mouth on one side, and then a kind of a butterfly wing on the other. If you can see that, these are the little tiny ones. If you just need a little bit of weight, that's where you go. And then we have the teardrop, which is literally a teardrop, and it has a little weight there. And that's for another rig called the Drop Shot, if you want to look that one up. I don't use that one terribly often. Texas Rig and Carolina are my go-tos. Once in a while, I'll do a Drop Shot, but I don't have very many of these in my tackle box because I don't use it very often. We also have the jig. The jig is a little jig head. That's a little weight on the end of it that can help you. I don't use jig heads very much in freshwater just because they do have that exposed tip a lot, and I don't like getting snagged on the bottom. There are different kinds of jigs. That's a jig. It's got a little skirt on it. That's a jig. It doesn't have a skirt on it. Just comes with trial and error, whichever one you like best. These I like. They get a little more color, a little more action, whatever you call it. But that one works too. But I don't use these terribly often because, again, they have exposed tips for the hooks, and they get snagged kind of easily. As far as baits go, can't go wrong with live bait, worms, night crawlers, red worms. They all kind of work the same. If you're going for like bluegill or crappie, little mealworms or even like maggot worms work really well for them. Bluegill and crappie. Bigger fish, bigger bait. If you're going for bass, catfish, use a big night crawler or half a night crawler, whatever you can fit on your hook. There are bigger hooks, there are smaller hooks. I have many sizes of hooks. I like using what's called a circle hook, and it kind of makes a circle with what it is. If you can kind of see it there, it kind of makes a circle or half circle on, versus what a J hook is this. It's literally a J. That's on a jig head. That's a J hook on a jig head. That's a circle hook. I like circle hooks because you can leave them and the fish kind of hooks themselves. You don't really have to really yank on them very much to get that hook set. The hook will, once the fish starts swimming away, the fish will hook itself. That's the way the circle hooks are designed. I believe this is like a 4, size 4. Sizes go from number 1 being the smallest up to bigger numbers being the smaller ones. No, I got that wrong. Bigger numbers being bigger, smaller numbers being smaller. Let me see if I can find a J hook without. There it is. Ha 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 ha. There we go. J hook without a jig head. That's a J hook. They work. I'm not saying they don't. It's just you gotta watch it, and when the fish hits your pole and your pole starts dancing, you gotta yank on them in order to really hook them. The circle hooks, they kind of hook themselves. Let's see, what else? Other baits besides live bait, if you can't find worms or whatever, there's always fake worms. This is a fake worm that I have. They come in small, large, many colors, not so many colors. This one is, what is this called? I think this is called a triple tail. But essentially what it is it's a fat body worm and has a nice fan tail. This one has 3. It's split. That's why it's called a triple tail. But little fan tail. I believe these are 8 inches. These are for bass. And then, bass hook. I forgot to show you the bass hooks. So bass hooks are a little bit different in that they have this little bend in the neck, and they're a little bit bigger than your normal J hooks. There's a little bend in the neck, and when you want to hook up a worm or anything really to them, you have to do them weedless, which helps a lot when there's stuff to get hung on. So basically what you do is you kind of start with your worm upside down, because your hook will be like this, but you put the tip through the nose of the worm just until you cover that tip of the hook, and then you come out of the worm. And then you push that all the way to the tip there, and then you will twist a little bit, because this is just inside the worm. It's not attached to anything really. You'll put that all the way to the top. As you do that, it'll kind of twist and turn your worm the other way. And you want the worm the other way, because then what you can do is you can hide the tip of your hook inside the belly of the worm, like that. And when you feel it hit, you'll yank on it, and the hook will come out of the worm and into the fish's mouth. Kind of confusing, but it works. So that's how you hook up a rubber bass worm. Bass will go for live bait on a regular hook. They aren't very picky. You just got to find them, which is the hard part, is finding the fish. But anyways, so they'll go for a live worm, but if all else fails, you can go for a fake rubber worm as well. And there's other baits too besides just rubber worms. I have, what is this? This is a Christy Craw. And again, they show you the little hook that you'll need, which is the bass hook, that little bend in the neck. And you rig it up the same way, through the nose, kind of finagle it through the body a little bit. And then, that one's not open. I want to open that one if I don't have to. Where are my other ones? Alright, whatever. You rig it the same way. I'll find one that's open. And then there are these worms too. These are big fat worms. They don't really have a tail, but you can rig them the same way, through the nose, out the body, into the body, kind of similar way. Or with this one as well, you can use one of these hooks if you'd like, and just put it right through the middle. Right through the middle there. Right through the middle there. And that's called wacky rigging, where the worm is just kind of bouncing along like that, rather than through the nose. Excuse me. That's called wacking rigging. Wacko rigging. You can look that up too, if you want. These are what they call a stick bait or a Senko style bait. Let me see if I can find a crawl that's open. Oh, there we go. That is a crawl, or what looks like a crawl. Got its little pincers and tentacles and things, and you'll rig that one very similar. You go through the top here, out, and then back in, exactly like this one here with that bass hook, and you'll do the same thing with that. It's very similar. And these ones have little claws. You can some of them start attached, and you can break them apart so that they're not attached to each other. But some of them aren't attached, and they just, it's made to look like what they eat in the water. And if that doesn't work, where did I put? That doesn't work. You can use this. This is probably, I don't know, it's not my favorite bait, but it's decent if you don't have live bait or rubber stuff, or the little marshmallow power bait things. You can see that. And then you also can get them in this form, which is just like a Play-Doh. I haven't opened this one. I'll open it because I can. It's more just a Play-Doh. It's not really marshmallowy, but you take it out and you make little marshmallow balls out of it. And it's scented. That one you can use like a worm, live worm. You can just toss it out there and let it go. That's the difference between live and the power bait or something that smells. Is this, you actually have to work. You have to cast it out, reel it in, bounce it, cast it out, reel it in, bounce it as you're going, kind of thing. And it's a little bit more complicated than just throwing it out there and letting it go, and waiting for the fish to bite. So those are the different types of baits that I use typically when I'm fishing from the shore or stationary on a boat. And then, if you want to have lots of fun, it's a little bit easy. I don't know, it's a little bit complicated, but once you get the hang of it, it's not terrible. Is trolling. If you get on a boat and you just want to, tool around the lake, that's the easiest way to find the fish, I think, is to just troll. And once you find them, you just keep going over that spot. You just keep going over that spot time after time, and the fish usually stay in the same area once you find them. Trolling. I troll probably 3 main baits. I troll my favorite, because it catches everything, is what you call a spoon. And they come in many different colors. I've had best of luck on just a silver spoon or gold, silver or gold. Gold I've had good luck on. I think I like gold a little bit better than silver, but this is a silver spoon and it's shiny, and it as you're dragging it through the water, it shines off stuff and fish come and get it. That goes straight onto your main line. It's a little O-ring there, little ring there that you tie onto your fishing line, and that will, you toss it out, you start going, very slow. You don't have to go very fast to troll on a lake, 2-3 miles an hour max, and that drags behind you and looks like a fish. That's my favorite bait to troll. Another favorite to troll is called a lipless crankbait. There's several styles and colors and everything. But I think my two favorite are red or orange craw. A little craw pattern on there. And again, you just tie that straight to your fishing line right there. Or just a silvery minnow kind of thing. Kind of similar to the spoon, but you can kind of hear it if they rattle a little bit. So they make a little more noise rather than just flashy. Lipless crankbaits, they literally have nothing on them except hooks. That's why they're called lipless, because many other crankbaits have these little lips on them. Let me see if I can get one here. I have lips on them. Lip. Haha, lip. Got a little lip on the front there. Those just give it some action, and they make it go deeper as well. On the box it usually says how deep. This one's probably 3 to 5 feet maybe deep. The lipless ones go a little bit deeper, depends on how fast you pull them. But I like the lipless ones a little bit better because they just work better for me. Or I do one, it might still be on my fishing pole. I'll have to look. They're called square bills. Let me see if I have one. I do not think I do. I don't think I do have a square bill on me right now. Let me see if I can find one. Found one. It was still on one of my poles. I think this is one of the only square bills I have, actually. That's a square bill. It's orange. Craw pattern again. I like the craws. Craws on the lake are fantastic because that's what a lot of bass eat is just crawdads. But square bill, you can kind of see it's kind of a square. It's more square than the other bills or lips that crankbaits come with. So that's why they call it a square bill. But that's a fun technique if you can get the hang of it. You literally just toss it off the side of your boat, let it go for 20, 30 seconds, enough to get 30, 40, 50 feet out of line behind your boat, and then just go until you get a bite. Stay along the shore. Usually I stay 10, 15 feet between the middle of the lake and the shore, and then I just follow the shoreline usually. But yeah, that's kind of the basics. I know it's a lot of info, so if you have questions, let me know. But again, I guess just review. Texas rig, that's probably my #1 rig that I tie. Carolina rig, that one's good for deeper water. And even just from shore, if you're fishing off a dock or fishing off the bank, that one's really good because it gets you out pretty far and gets you deep. Live bait, worms work the best. Then go to your power bait, because that smells. It'll attract them. It does smell a little bit, so if you get it on your hands, make sure you have a baby wipe or something and get it off, because it will stink up your hands just a little bit. What's the next? Then your fake stuff, your rubber worms and your crankbaits and things like that. You probably don't have too many fancy things just yet, but if you do, that's kind of at the bottom of my list of things to use. Then crankbaits and stuff are good for trolling, because they wiggle and give you action and pretty flashies and things like that. But yeah, if you ever plan to do a boat, that's where it's at, trolling. But yeah, again, if you have questions, #1 knot, uni knot, learn how to tie that. 3 things if you take away: uni knot, Texas rig, Carolina rig. That's all you need to know. Rest, trial and error. Do what you like best. People say, oh, you need this, you need that, you need this, you need that. You don't need anything fancy. None of my stuff is super fancy. I have a lot of it, but I don't have anything super crazy fancy. I go to Walmart and buy the cheapo, $1.50, $2 spoons, and all my fancy crankbaits aren't fancy. They're off the clearance rack because I saw they were $2, and but it's, make it fun, make it yours. Good luck.